structured out there. It means that he will have the inheritance rights of her father, of her father and mother, okay, and that he will not be an outcast or something like that. Having said that, this is only the Yajnavalkya Smriti. There are societies in India, in ancient times and modern times as well, which are completely matrilineal. It is the woman who inherits, right? The point one was trying to make is all these interpretations exist. It's just that in the present reality, we have forgotten many of those interpretations. That was the point. Sorry.
Okay, one only because there are lots of questions. I'm sorry. There are questions this side. Archana, please. I'm going to now direct this because I can get a view. We'll come to you at the back. Yeah. Short.
Dhol gawar shudra runari ye sab tadan ke adhikari. Tulsidas has said it, and for me, even in Mahabharata, if you see, the villain is Kekai, Manthara, the disabled woman who created all that thing. And I would also like the commentators to touch upon Manusmriti, which you have not. It's totally anti-woman.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
So we're going to keep that.
For an answer?
You wait till we'll get 3 questions. Okay? Sorry, now I'm going to be the bully. So, okay, over there, Archana, can you give it to this lady here? Yeah. And then we'll leave the front row and go to the back. Yeah.
I want to raise a very basic question, and also which is directed to the study of Indian feminism by feminists in India and social sciences as well. And the basic one query is that we have such a Western lens when we see, and therefore the whole contradictions which are there, we do not take them in stride. If we start looking at it as a women's study, we will only look at the Manusmriti, right? Now the contradictions in this I'm a person from psychology, and I think that is a major problem we have, because all our concepts in psychology, for instance, and I think social sciences, are also defined by the West. We don't take into stride our own indigenous ways, and which can explain contradiction. So my query is, can we start looking at things with a different lens, which is not so whitewashed?
Ma'am, the second point, you're absolutely right. One should look at scriptures and thoughts that exist in the past, A, holistically, and B, not from, look at it from our own perspective rather than a foreigner's perspective. I buy that point entirely. You'll probably understand it a lot deeper. I'll come back to your point, ma'am. I'm saying once again that there are interpretations, and this is not just in Hindu scriptures, but in scriptures of all religions, which are troubling. And I believe that a religious liberal must oppose the interpretations which do not make sense. And there's nothing wrong in doing that. If God has blessed us with a brain, it's because He wants us to use it. Are there some sections, some philosophies in the Manusmriti which are anti-women? Yes, they are. Yes, there are. Do I oppose them? Of course I do. There are also sections in the Manusmriti which are pro-women. One can discuss that with you as well. So my point is, look at the text holistically. There are things which are negative. There's nothing wrong with opposing them. As Lord Krishna himself said in the 18th Adhyaya of the Bhagavad Gita, where he told Arjun that your task is to question even what I have told you. Right? So you're supposed to use your mind. The Ramcharitmanas point, let me just add this point, because I know this line is kind of popular. So just this line, let me just address this issue. Let me use an example which you might understand separately. One of the finest living Indian authors, in my opinion, Amitav Ghosh. If you read his latest books, the first 2 books of the Ibis trilogy, the third one hasn't come out, The River of Smoke. In that, there is a character, a British trader, who I don't remember the exact words, but he says that he actually quotes from the Bible to justify the enslavement of Asians and Africans. And he says that it's a duty that the Europeans have, because apparently by enslaving the Asians and the Africans, they are helping the Asians and the Africans. A character actually makes this statement in The River of Smoke. It would be a leap of logic to say that this means that Amitav Ghosh justifies slavery. Right? Let me explain the line that's there in the Ramcharitmanas. That you're right, that line is there, that Shudra Pashudhari, Yeshab Tadna Ke Adhikari. This line, remember Ramcharitmanas is a story. There are characters who speak lines in there. This line is said by Samudradev, alright, who's the god of the sea, who comes in for all of 5 scenes in the Ramcharitmanas. Alright? And he says this line when he's trying to save himself from Lord Ram. Okay, there's a context in which that line was said. To take this line out of context and say that this is the message of the Ramcharitmanas, and this is what Tulsidas said, is in my mind as ridiculous as saying that Amitav Ghosh justifies slavery because some character in the River of Smoke justified slavery. That's the point that I want to leave with you. It's not Ramcharitmanas making that line. And the Ramcharitmanas is a story. Characters speak lines in there. It's not the Manusmriti, which is a issue of lines. The Ramcharitmanas also has Ravan saying some horrible things. Correct? That doesn't mean the Ramcharitmanas is saying that. Second point that I want to leave with you within this line as well, the Ramcharitmanas has been written in Awadhi, which is a Prakrut language. Prakrut has been derived from Sanskrit. You should find out what is the meaning of the word Tadna in Sanskrit, okay, not in Awadhi. Tadna has 2 or 3 meanings. One of them is beating, yes, and that was one of the translations that's in there. Just to clarify for those of you who haven't got it, and this line is essentially there that women are deserving of beating, and the word for beating is Tadna, okay. Sanskrit Tadna, there's also another meaning which is to treat solemnly. There's also another meaning which is to teach. Okay? If you read the Gita, I assume you must have read the English translation. If you read the Gita Press translation, which is what most Indians outside of South Mumbai, New Delhi would have read, in that the translation of Tadna is to teach, not to beat. I just want to say that even the word Tadna has various interpretations, but I don't know what Tulsidas may have thought. God knows, none of us know. We are just trying to interpret at this point of time. Just the points I want to leave is that Tulsidas may not even have meant beating, because Tadna has various meanings. He may have meant teaching. And even if he meant beating, it was from that character. It's not that Ramcharitmanas is making that statement. I just want to clarify that point. Because, and we shouldn't call up Amitav Ghosh and say he justifies slavery, right? It's a character in his book which made that statement. Who made that statement?
Sudhir, you, that, I think.
Okay.
And I will say that there are sections in all scriptures which interpretations which must be opposed, and they should be opposed. There's nothing wrong in opposing it. I want to make that point as well. Is you shouldn't be blindly defending anything.
Okay. To answer that lady's question, you asked about Indian and Western in social sciences, psychology, that we are only from the Western part, influenced by that and only. I mean, I think that has started happening the more from the Indian side. I mean, I won't go on where, but I think that's happening. The important point is, I think Rabindranath Tagore, since I've been working on him, he said that there are 2 ideas of the West and idea of India. Idea of India is actually Tagore's phrase, and said idea of the West is understanding the world and then winning power over it, which is a very, very important, and they've made huge progress with it. That the idea of India is sympathy, to live in accordance with the environment, animals, plants, etc., to live along with that. And the idea of sympathy is as important as the idea of understanding. But that India has suffered a lot because it only went there and did not, the idea of West, that both together have to be there. And I think his Shanti Niketan was meant for that you have both the idea of the West and idea of India together. So I will not dismiss and go into this kind of fundamentalist only idea of India, because that can be very dangerous. We again land up into complete mythos. I think mythos and logos have to be together. You cannot have one without the other. So I will not go in. I think we both have to be that. You are quite right that the idea of India is at the moment low. It needs to be brought up, but not that we dismiss the Western and only have the idea of India.
Yes, that I would support. There's a lot to learn from the West, and we must learn. It's stupid to become an extremist of any form.
Okay. There were 4 quick questions here, all from men. Short ones, please.
Okay, hello everyone. My question being here is not to anyone specific, but to the subject of the day. Everyone's been talking about Western and Eastern culture. Let's go back some more back. Let's go back to the Stone Age era. In that period, I believe we were always sexist on the basis of physical strength, right? So why are we denying? Because these are the same people who eventually either wrote the scriptures or were a part of them. So how can we deny that our scriptures are not, for that fact, being Hindu or any other religion, they are not sexist?
Okay. There was, yes, sir, at the back, there were two people.
I didn't understand. What did you say?
My question is to Mr. Sudhir Kakkar. In mythology, we have seen that Ramanujan's essays are being banned in Delhi University, and many such things are happening today. So, do you have some fear when you are writing mythology that it may go against some of the rightist people who are raising issues on our own gods and mythology?
Thank you, sir. And there was a gentleman behind you.
Yeah, taking his question little forward, in the 21st century India, with the globalization and all, we have so many Bapus and Maharajas dispensing mythology every day, day in and day out. And you find the contradiction between their practices and their teaching. So what is your take on this new kind of phenomenon that is growing all over India? Across the statuses and, haves and have-nots all.
Okay. Who would like to go first? Sudhir, would you like to respond to?
I think the question you asked about mythology is answered by the nature of mythology itself, that it can be interpreted in different ways, that one or the other aspect of mythology can be brought up. And the task of everyone, if one aspect is becoming is being misused, or if one feels that it needs to be balanced, it is the task of others, other mythologists or other people to bring up that other aspect of each god. Each god has different aspects. Even Ram is not Maryada Purushottam, he cries. Shiva cries. So that's also okay. So the thing is, you cannot say that one is wrong and the other is right. The thing is how to balance the one, if one is getting too weightier and is being misused. If you feel if it is being misused, then it is your duty how to bring the balance back by bringing out the other aspect of the same god or goddesses through the same kind of sources, because you can go to the sources, no, in this Puran it is like that, or here it is like that, and people do that also. I think that is a kind of thing which is taking place also all over the time.
Yeah, and I think on that last question on Godmen, there are people who will come out with their interpretations. Some of them are genuine, some of them are not. And one should have faith in the long-term wisdom of the people to decide what will work for them and what will not. I am not, I'm a Shiva worshipper, so I'm naturally slightly anti-elitist. I'm naturally, I'm never a supporter of elitist, statist solutions that some brilliant guy at the top will decide what society should think. So let people decide, let it be voluntary. And we will find our way by ourselves. We shouldn't be judging what others choose. Long term, we will find our way. And I want to suggest a lot more faith in the native wisdom of the Indian people. There's this lovely shair of an Urdu shair that Iqbal had said that सदियों से रहा है दुश्मन दौरे जहां हमारा कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं. Enemies have attacked us for centuries. Something in us that we're still around. We haven't died out. I would suggest a bit more faith in the native wisdom of the Indian people. They will decide by themselves over the long term.
Okay, yes.
My question relates to sexism in today's times. It does not relate to mythology. Bringing back the incident after the Tarun Tejpal episode unfolded, we had voices from prominent people such as Mr. Farooq Abdullah, Shah Rukh Khan making statements like, I'm scared of getting into an elevator with a journalist, or Mr. Farooq Abdullah saying that I don't want to hire women as secretary, I'm scared of the idea. Why these thoughts? Instead, why isn't anybody saying we won't hire anybody of, let's say, a pervert nature or otherwise? What can we as a society, both women and men, do to make the situation better?
Okay, quick one is that the gentlemen you have quoted who said they are scared of the women, I don't think it is because of the episode. These gentlemen are scared of women before in any case. So this is just a thing to put out their fear again and out into the open.
Sorry, go on.
The thing that I do want to say, I feel strongly about this. I've written about it many times, and that's why I try and bring it across in my books as well. I think this is the most important social issue facing India today, the question of women's empowerment. If you look across India, across all linguistic groups, across all religious groups, across all social classes, across all caste groups, by far the most oppressed group in India today is women. There's no doubt about it, right? And I think the number 1 to 10 social issue that we as a society must take on is the empowerment of women, because if we empower women across all communities, all those communities themselves will get empowered. This is an important social fight. I don't deny that. There is something that we can learn from our eastern neighbor Bangladesh. We waste too much time looking at Pakistan, which is a suicidal country. We should look at Bangladesh, where they have made tremendous social improvements in the last 30 years. There's a World Bank report which said that their social indicator improvements have been amongst the fastest in human history, probably second only to the Meiji Restoration era Japan, which is the gold standard in social indicator improvements. Their key has been the empowerment of women, right? So this is something that we as a country need to take on. There is no doubt about it. The submission is that it's not something that will change overnight. It's not something that will happen with just laws. Our society sadly lost its way over the last 100, 200, 300 years, and it's going to be a long struggle. But all of us who are India lovers, all of us who are patriots, we have to fight this battle because it's for the good of India. It will take time. It will not happen overnight.